Welcome everyone to another episode of the STB Podcast, the show where we bring you unfiltered gist and real stories from the builders of some interesting products across Africa. People who are shaping the tech space across Africa and beyond. Today's episode is one that I'm particularly excited about because this brings home a personal challenge I've had, and it also helps to solve, talk about the problem solving approach to an everyday Nigerian problems, car wahala, right? We're having two brothers, co-founders of Request Mechanic, a platform that makes it easy to access and find trusted mechanics and auto services. Today we have with me Ochukwu, the CEO and CTO of Request Mechanic, and Okemuti, the CEO who ensures that the operations and execution run smoothly. Gentlemen, welcome to today's show.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. So let's get right to the beginning. How did the whole concept of Request Mechanic start? Like, where did the whole idea come from?
I think generally I've always wanted to start a company. I never thought I was going to find the problem easily, but I knew that I had that at the back of my mind. So I've never been for just starting stuff just for the fun of it or, just for making profits. Although I think that I definitely want to have those two things as well. I want to have fun and I want to make some money for sure. But I think that those things don't come easily. So I've always been like, when I find that problem I'm passionate about, I'm going to go all in. I started Request Mechanic May 1st of 2023. That's when I put together my first team. Had my brother, had my designer, and a couple of other friends as well. The problem for Request Mechanic that I actually faced, that actually inspired me, was from an experience I had on my birthday of 2023. My birthday, my very good friend, was meant to drive me and a couple of other friends to our birthday party. And so he just got his car back from the mechanic that day. The guy just fixed some things in the car, especially like the steering wheel. But it was still kind of faulty. We're still going to manage this car and everything. We're still going to push through. So that moment we're like, this car is not starting. You just got this car back from a mechanic now. Like, what's going on? So we're like, okay, you know what? We're going to put hands together. All my guys, all of us open like the bonnets, trying to do our magic as electricians now. All of us went to India, so we should know something. So we opened the bonnet, we tried, we removed the battery, put it back, we checked a couple of things. So it was a Ford Edge 2015-16. So, the car came on back. Seems like a reset happened or something. So we just started the car and started working. And then we're just on our journey, going happy, banging some music, and then I started smelling something weird. I'm like, something burning. They're like, no, nothing's burning. You know that thing, you don't want to tell your friend this car, something's going wrong with this car. You just want to give him cool vibe. But then we're like, come on, check this thermostat. And check the thermostat, and we saw that the temperature was already very high. So we decided, let's just park this car and just find out what's wrong there. We parked the car. Area boys in Lagos, they have gathered and say, it's happened. Let's help you. We serving mechanic for you. We'll be mechanic for you. So we're like, no, still wait, because we don't want to trust these people completely now. So we're like, okay, let's wait for the car to, cool down and then everything. But I was waiting too long. And this mechanic that had done the work supposedly was also a bit reluctant to come and everything. So, we waited and I was like, you know what, bro, I'm going to go to the event. Please meet me up there. Eventually, he met me up almost at the end of everything. I felt so bad for him. And then I started checking back regularly to find out how is the car, are you fixing it, has it been solved? But he kept saying that the car problem is still there. The mechanic has fixed this, he's fixing that, he's fixing this. Like, went on for like about a week. So I was like, what is really the problem? Like, why is this issue not still solved? And so we found out that this person doesn't really specialize in fixing Ford edges, in general Fords, right? So we started reaching out to friends. He asked me that I could help him find somebody that knows a Ford edge person. So we started checking. I was Googling, doing all the kinds of search that I can search. I was calling all my mechanic buddies and friends. And actually, some people were found, but they really didn't really have the time. And some of them were so far away. So I was like, okay, let's still check. Eventually, we found someone, a friend of another friend that drives a Ford as well. And he was really great because when he came in, he did like initial diagnostics and told us that the initial problem where we had to remove the battery and everything, that was when the problem started. So there was a problem when the first mechanic did the car, and then there was also a problem after. So, dive deep, this first mechanic was telling us we were going to have to change the engine. And then this new guy was like, it's an electrical issue, he just fixed a couple things. And then it cost him cost us like 200K or so, close to 200K to fix this issue. Meanwhile, the other guy was saying we'll buy new engine, which was costing like upwards of like 2 million naira or something like that.
Wow.
So, that was just like, stuck in my head. Like, first of all, I'm a tech person, so I should have connection, I should know people, or at least I should be able to search for these companies that have people that, have Ford people. So, but I couldn't do that myself. So I started wondering that, okay, I don't want to have to sign up to any app and then start going through their wait list and start promising my friend or going through like their system that there are people will tell me that this person is coming to help. I don't want to have to promise my friend something that I'm not sure of. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to build it because I couldn't find a solution out there that showed you that, oh yes, you're getting a Ford person and his name is so, and you can check it online and see if he has done work for other people. So yeah, that's why I set out to build, help people get that help that I needed at that time, and also help people find specialists around them.
Wow, beautiful. So that's such a relatable pinpoint. So you can say that was the moment when you changed let's fix this into let's build a company moment.
Yes.
That was beautiful. Great. So you can just run us through. So what has been the building phase like? What has been your MVP?
I think initially it was really hard because I had to put together like a team that actually like understood what I had in my head. First of all, I feel like ideas were flying around and like technologies were like everywhere, like AI was blooming, AR, VR was blooming as well. Everybody wanted to build something that was shiny, but then we also wanted to solve the problem. So we're like, okay, we need to build something that I myself, who use this platform, who needed this platform in general, can use, right? So that's how we went on. My designer, TK, he was doing a lot of like the design of the first MVP wireframes. We're having a lot of meetings on that, like moving things, doing a lot of business talks and stuff. We had a couple people that just help us like actualize this thing and put it into like an initial minimum viable product. We built the MVP in like a month plus. I actually built most of it on like the website. Initially, we had like a form. You go into that form, you just type where you are, you type in what problem you have, is it electrical issues, is it mechanical issues, you type all that. And then we just like do some searching to find you people around. And then if you ask about like the mechanics, we're able to onboard them by going online, talking to different companies, going to organizations and things like that to kind of ask them, who are the people you have, asking them questions like, okay, bring them under different categories. What cars are they good at? What cars are they not good at, right? So streamlining all those things to make sure that we put these mechanics in front of like the work that they know how to do best, right? So we don't get anybody doing like guesswork on your car. So a lot of that work was actually done by Okemute. He was the one doing the calling initially. I guess he can tell you a bit more about that.
So just before we move on to Security, particularly about the MVP, were there some choice of programming languages or were there some infrastructures? If there were, what informed those decisions to say, okay, this is the choice of programming language we'll use to develop, and this is why this is how we're managing users' data, or this is the protection that comes into the system, and all of that. Do you want to run us through any of those infrastructure?
Okay. So generally, I think for the language, I think we had to work on what we knew best. And I think when you're trying to put something out, you're looking for the shortest route possible. So I work with Python. I've built a lot of applications in the past with Django and Flask and all those Python languages. And then I also had a friend as well who was also helping design the stuff. So I use like basic HTML to just whip up like a website, just CSS, put something up quickly so that people can start working with it. I think the issue was I really wanted to solve the next person was going to experience that same issue that I did. I needed to solve their problem as quick as possible. So to be honest, if I could use WordPress or like use something like that is no code or low code, I would have, because it's all about like getting the stuff out. And at that time, AI couldn't really build stuff as it can now. Now you have like agents and all those stuff that do it for you. So initially we just use Python, and then in terms of like protecting people's data, actually at the start I did a lot of like security measures to make sure that people's data is safe in general. Did a lot of working with a lot of lawyers to kind of get them to agree on how that data will be managed, also checking regulations for how we manage them, like the GDPR and the rest. So generally we did what we could at the start. At this point, we are doing more already. That's the story.
Beautiful. So if I hear you correctly, you mean you're prioritizing people over processes. Beautiful. So over to you. We'd like to know, while Mochuko was building, what was going on the operations and the business side?
But as simple as the on-demand spaces are brought into place by Uber, because Uber was the first on-demand app that actually scaled and made success, and that ushered in all the other guys that came after. So it's about you do not want an app that you don't have Uber drivers on. So you want an app where you can get the technicians. So what I was trying to do is, since we already have the technical talent, let us get the people that we can trust, that can handle the jobs for the customers.
Great. This is amazing. But so far, we know we run in the Nigerian terrain, right? So being a founder in the Nigerian ecosystem, I don't know, has it been challenging, or what do you think? What has been your experience being a founder in Nigerian ecosystem?
You should tell us, because...
Okay, the question goes to Chukwu, really. Yeah.
I think generally for me, it's been a mix of good and bad. Or more like good and stressful. I think a couple things are harder for people to do that come from this side of the world in general. I think one of the biggest issue is one that we've been battling for, I think, around a year now, where we initially wanted to launch to the Play Store, and then we had issues with that. First, the issue was just cards, the financial sector. We didn't really get cards that could pay for our Google Play Store fast, or pay for our Apple Store and stuff like that. And I think if you were even using virtual cards, they just lock your account. I had 2, 3, 4 some of my Apple IDs blocked just because of that whole process. So that is one, and there's even more and more regulations that come into if you're trying to plug things into your app, you see some of those platforms don't just accept Nigerians. If you're trying to facilitate it, a lot of stuff. So it's I think that's the downside. That's where the downside comes from. But I think in terms of the vibrant culture and then the vibrant tech community, it's easy to find people who are kind of passionate passionate about solving this similar thing. I think when we started to find that, okay, there are similar people, similar companies who wanted to solve the same issue. So it's not like it was made up in my head, or I'm just like one really small subset of people who want to solve something that maybe is a very small problem. So it's really a big problem, and a lot of people wanted to solve it, and a lot of people wanted to be a part of that. So that's how we built the team that we have today. So Nigeria made that easy, I guess.
Wow, beautiful. So you've listed a lot of problems and how you were able to navigate, but it just seems like you kept going regardless of the challenges you had. So what's been your motivation to, continuously try to, find a way to navigate through all of these challenges you face?
Well, I think our motto when we started, I think Okemute was actually stuck on YC. Not that I haven't heard of YC before, but I think it was a bit more. I think it was like his plaything at the time. He was like a bit more new to it, and he was really loving like the people there. He started telling me more about like Gary Tan, Michael Siebel, all those folks. And I think one thing that was actually synonymous among like every one of them when they asked what's one thing that a company could take to like be successful, one attribute, and it was grit. And then when we looked at our company in general, what's the one thing we wanted on the day when that issue happened to me? I wanted to keep going. I didn't want the car to stop. I didn't want to be late. I didn't want all of that, right? I just wanted to get to where I wanted. And that's why Uber helped. And so maybe Uber, this is like my, this is my plugin. Maybe change your motto to keep going, because you guys help people do that.
Right.
But yeah, our motto now is keep going, don't stop. And that like affects all parts of life, affects like people who are looking to fix their car as soon as possible and get back to work, people who are looking to find a solution, right? Looking to, don't get stuck, people who are looking to buy cars and, not go through a whole lot of problems that you might in this second-hand purchasing world or market. So yeah, it's just about helping people to get like their desired Kinaland or something.
Wow, beautiful. I hear you. Request mechanic taking us to our desired Kinaland. Well, speaking of Kinaland, what's next for Request Mechanic? Where do you see the platform in the next 2 to 3 years from now?
I think in general, one of the things is that we want to definitely reach product market fit. What that just means is that we give the platform to people who need it, and they really, really find it really helpful to them. So far, we have been able to create a lot of impact, but we're looking at creating even more impact and kind of dominating the whole legal space. So we're at the point where we are rolling out some amazing features and newer stuff coming out soon. And I think those things are going to kind of redefine the way people take care of their cars, and also the way people go ahead with like relationship with like their mechanics, or having people fix their cars and things like that. So it's all about like, listening more to the people, improving, and rolling out stuff that can really help.
Wow, that's such a very beautiful and powerful roadmap. It seems like you're not just solving problems, but you're all in all redefining the experience with vehicle maintenance as a whole. Wow, beautiful. So looking back at your experience so far, for each of you, what's one lesson you feel most aspiring founders should hear out there? If there are any founders listening to you, what's one lesson you feel they should have like a take home from your own experience so far?
I think for me, I said the biggest thing that I have has kept me going is the fact that I want to actually get to the end, or at least get to where I'm seeing in my brain. So I think it's all about like being passionate at the end of the day, because there's a numerous amount of issues that can come up. And I think for every founder, there's one thing: you're probably solving the problem for the first time in your life. So you probably don't know much about it. Maybe you were just like on the receiving end of the problem, but maybe, maybe you were like in a legal issue and you had to solve a legal problem by building an app. You're not a lawyer, so maybe you need like a lawyer to tell you more about that. But even then, the person really needs to convince you, needs to do a lot of convincing, because some things won't just make sense to you, but to the person, it makes a whole lot of sense because they're a lawyer. right? So I think that you being able to just be passionate and be like, okay, regardless, I'm going to navigate all these things the person says that, the way the world is, and still bring that problem to them is, very important. So you really need to like what you want to bring to the world. I think that's the rest, like grades, the whole, perseverance, everything will come out from there. You would learn as much as you want to learn because you are doing that for the first time. So you need to really be humble and just like learn. But yeah, I think it comes from being passionate. When you really want something, you just like sit down and be like, I'll do anything.
It's a really good question because this answer could go anyway. But the advice of people often precedes them. What that means is that do not take bad advice. Try as much as possible to not take bad advice. Look at the person that you are taking advice from. Do you admire them? Will you be willing to work for them? Then you can begin to take their advice. So personally, I love to take advice from people who I admire, people who are light years ahead of where I'm trying to get to, which is mechanical our company. So this is why I started to work back from. So, all the big names, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Peter Thiel, across the board, you will find that there are principles aligning all of your success. And if you can start from there, you would have a better path carved out for you. Yeah.
So beautiful. I like the parts, carving the path for yourself. But speaking of carving the path, I want to know what keeps you guys on the path of being inspired to want to build, solutions in Africa. Because often than not, we might realize that most people are focused on, outside of Africa or solving problems, other continents. So what keeps you, really inspired on the path of, building solutions in Africa?
I think we want to build solutions for the world for sure. We want to build for the world, but I think we need to start somewhere. I think that people need to kind of understand what scaling means. Everybody says, "Oh, we want to scale." Where's your company? Want to scale? But scale starts from somewhere, right? When you step on a scale, starts reading and going up. So I think we are starting with somewhere that we have enough reach to affect, which is Lagos. We're also trying to enter into Abuja, which is part of the scaling. We need the top places where people really have these car issues, right? The top cities, it's like Lagos, Abuja, those places, right? And so people need to really know how to move from one point to the next point to the next, right? So you need to have that plan. And so eventually we are still going to get to the whole of the world and meet with the other people that are actually experiencing the same problem. But for now, we are focusing on Lagos, then Nigeria, and then Africa. And then we're going to eventually go to Europe and the Americas and the Asias and the likes. So yeah, now that we really understand Africa, we are really going for Africa.
Beautiful. So on a closing note, we always do these quick questions to know what side you're on. So I'm just going to ask a question and know what your preference would be. So I'm going to start with Ochukwu first. So Ochukwu, if you're asked to choose between an Android or an Apple, which would be your preference?
I would say preference. I actually use an iPhone, so this is going to be very, very contradictory to what I use. So I would actually say an Android. I think I prefer Androids just for the fact that you as a developer have a lot of freedom to build the Android community. A lot of the stuff built on Android is open source. And so it's easier for you to kind of navigate it. It's easier for you to use stuff. Remember when I was younger, I was always jailbreaking my Android phones, my mom's phone, jailbreaking everybody's phone. I'm always going to developer settings and trying to do more, which you can easily do on those devices. And so I feel it's Android for me, right? But for the iPhone ecosystem is also irreplaceable. The fact that once you have an iPhone and you have a MacBook and you have all those devices, they can easily sync and have all your work and everything. If you even have enough money, you can also get the Vision Pro stuff, and then you can also watch movies and play games with that. So the Apple ecosystem is great, but like if we're talking about just the phone, I would say the Android phones are maybe just a bit better.
Awesome. Couldn't have said it better. For the Apple ecosystem, sounds like fun. I probably guess our viewers out there will probably need to, be on the budget to really get all of these devices. So, Kimiti, my question to you would be, if you had to make a preference between Bill Gates or Elon Musk?
That's a really difficult one. Because I really resonate with both of them. Yes, that's a difficult one. I would say Bill. Well, because Bill is very he's autistic, so because of his autism, he's always been extremely focused, like obsessively, maniacally focused. However, on the other side, Elon is very focused too, but Elon has gotten into politics. He has gotten into wanting to control the outcome of tech, not just from technology, but from policies. So this is really great. It's really smart, actually, what Elon is doing. But I resonated with Bill because of his story. He, as a young child, he wanted to be a revolutionary. He wanted to move the world forward, just like Elon. And that drove him to be very obsessive on his company. And if you didn't know this before, people who didn't know, if Bill had kept more percentages of his company, he would be the richest guy in the world. He's made like the most impact as regards to the entrepreneurs that are still alive. He's the most impactful so far. Obviously, Steve Jobs and Wozniak with the computer revolution, but Bill actually made it open source for anybody and everybody. So regarding the tech entrepreneurs that we know today, Bill has made the most impact. So I would say Bill.
Oh, awesome. Very valid. So just also, I want to know, there's a general conception that, when you learn a tech skill, it's usually maybe advisable to, japa or find better, greener pasture out there. So to japa or not to japa, this is going to opinions to hear from both of you.
I think generally depends. It depends on you. It depends on what you want your life to look like. I think it cuts across everything. I think it's not just like the tech skill. Generally, I think you can make good money in Nigeria as a tech person. Even if you're just getting paid in Naira, you can also pay for stuff in Naira in Nigeria, because like the rent here is like way cheaper than abroad, right? I think here, if you're looking for a 3-bed in Yaba or like on the island, you can definitely see one for under 10 million Naira for a year. Meanwhile, if you're paying for that in Canada, like in the US, or all those places, you could be paying like 3K per month, which is like, I don't know, that's like 5 million per month.
Yeah.
So which is
really?
But the only difference is that you would probably get a better pay there, but then also the taxes in those places are a bit higher than in Nigeria, and then also there's a lot of also, let's say, utilities that you have to pay for. Electricity, you pay for water, but Nigeria, once you pay for electricity, you have water as a result as well. You pay for a bunch of things like in those countries. So if you're looking for structure, if you're looking for exposure, obviously if you keep climbing higher the ladder in those countries and like specific companies and the likes, but like generally in the tech space, you get to the point where life just becomes so easy for you because you've made so much profit. Then you can't really be caged by like the tax brackets or like the living standards anymore. But I think in Nigeria, if you do that outside and you get to Nigeria, like you've completely blown it out of the waters, you're no longer held by anything, you can live in like the best places. So if you want to japa, get exposure and come back and just rest. But if you want to Japan, just stay there. That works fine as well. So I would say you should go. I would say you should go. But if you're building something for Nigeria, like I am, I think you should probably be closer to the problem. So you should stay there.
I'm just going to jump in and say that it depends on what you are trying. For me, it depends on what you want to accomplish as a person, as an entrepreneur, what you want your life to look like, what you want to be remembered for. So, for example, Elon couldn't have achieved his dream of making humans interplanetary species if he remained in South Africa, because South Africa doesn't have the best space technology. So it depends on what you want to be remembered for. For example, someone like Dangote, with his legacy, he wanted to be remembered for pushing Nigeria forward. If Dangote had started his businesses in the US, everyone knows what that math would look like. So I think it's what do you want to be remembered for? I think that would drive you and lead you on to more successful life, and that will lead you out of the country or to stay.
Oh, beautiful. I couldn't agree more with what you just said. Just that you mentioned Dangote, I want to know, so are they, maybe Nigeria or Africa figures that have inspired, your entrepreneurial journey so far, or people you look up to say, this is one person that, I truly respect and has inspired my journey?
I think for me, there are a bunch of them, but currently, or more recently, it's been Ian for me. Ian Abu-Deji, if I'm pronouncing that correct. He's the one of the co-founders for Flutterwave, Andela, and I think it's two companies so far that has been unicorns. I think that he lives, but I don't know if he still lives there. He lives in Yaba, and I live in Yaba, so his story is kind of close to mine. He built Andela. I think my dream at the time when I was just like finishing from secondary school was to eventually work with Andela, because they were just blowing up. Mark just came to Nigeria to invest in their company. Like a bunch of those things were happening, and then I was like, okay, it's like some people in Lagos. I need to get to Lagos and be like, I need to build something like that. And today I actually do some jobs with Andela. They've actually contracted me to work for some really amazing companies. So I would say I'm a product of his hard work. I think he is one person, and I think his story resonates with us a bit more. Saying that he came back from Canada and had to come build this company in Nigeria, had to go through the whole Nigerian stress. I could imagine what that was like for him, coming from that structured world and just coming to Nigeria, everything is just a different culture per se, not really scattered, just done differently, right? So I think also the fact that he was also pushing to build for solution, for the impact of the solution to actually help people over just the profit, is also one reason why I like to do things like the way he does. I think a lot of people on Twitter would always drag him for the things he says, but to do some really amazing things, sometimes you have to really be crazy at first, and then after a while it starts to make sense. If you would have told people before that, you have self-driving cars, when AI will be driving, if you told people 10 years ago, they would be like, how will AI drive you? What if somebody does something unexpectedly and that happens all the time, but now we have self-driving cars everywhere. So, I move with him more. I think he's the person that inspires me the most at the moment.
Oh, great. So, Kimberly, any thoughts on who resonates to you, Nigeria or Africa?
So, Dangote, I like Dangote a lot. If you look at the recent developments, Dangote has really stabilized the Nigerian economy. So, I chose Bill over Elon because without Bill, the computer revolution wouldn't have reached the common people, people who were still bounded by poverty, and wouldn't have even ushered in Elon's impact. The same thing with Dangote. Dangote's businesses have helped stabilize the biggest black nation in the world. That is insane. To have this kind of impact, just deciding to build a refinery that works. Nigeria has now become a net exporter of crude products, so crude refined products. So to be able to make that sort of impact in an economy that helps not just people working for the company, but that guy living in a shack in Magoko because, our fuel price is like 100 naira cheaper. That's insane to me. So I don't see that.
Beautiful. So thank you, Ochuku. Thank you, Kimoti, for sharing your startup journey with us. It's been really inspiring to hear what you guys have been building from ground up. And I guess our viewers and our listeners have also learned a lot from what you've shared. So everyone listening, this is another episode of the STB Podcast, and if you've ever been stuck on the road, maybe sometime at least you know how valuable a platform like Request Mechanic can be and can always come to your aid. So do well to check out Request Mechanic on their platforms and also on Google Play Store, I believe. And we're going to share some of those platforms on your screen so you can check them out. And also don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow our pages at softtechbro_ng for more interesting and inspiring sessions and topics like this. All right, so for now, it's going to be goodbye. Keep building, keep being bold, and until next time.
The tech space is not inner space or outer space. When you join the space, maintain the pace to win the race. And the wisdom here is for you to know to trust the process in what you do. Come rain fall, come sunshine, STB day for you. The next time you